Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. Do you want to get gooder? Do you want to get gooderest? Get gooder-ing? I got this comment from Frank. He says, Guido, please do a Get Good series showing the average player how to stay alive longer to be more effective. Thanks. And I said, you know what, dude? I will look for such a game. And I just had one. Well, I have a lot of them, actually. Do I have a lot of them? I'd like to think I have a lot of them. Maybe I have some. Maybe I have more than average. I'm slightly above average, so I probably have slightly more than average, where I see the situation and I'm able to react appropriately, stay alive, stay in the game, maintain my votes. And it's been a long time since we've talked about this particular subject. This game, I think, illustrates it pretty well, which is why I wanted to show it. A lot of times it's not as easy to see, and it becomes kind of a background OODA loop thing in the back of your cranium. And of course, everybody who starts a game doesn't go into the game. Everybody. Most people don't start the game with the idea that I'm going to hurry up and go die. Obviously, the YOLO person or somebody doing it for the memes or whatever. But generally, everybody who is trying to play well in the game doesn't run out and say, well, let me see if I can find a place to die as fast as possible. That may be the end result of that match. I've been there. I've done that myself. But the idea of, how do I stay alive, maintain my votes, stay in the game, become a factor all through the entire match, from the beginning to the end. Sometimes you run out and drop $5-6 and you die halfway through and you're still important to the win. But it's, in my opinion anyway, more fun to stick around. You like to do the damage. Damage is good. And don't take this to the extreme of, well, one way I can stay in the game and stay alive is hide in the back. That's not what we're talking about. So I'm going to take my 703-2 122 premium Soviet Tier 8 overpowered tank to a pretty solid position, a good position that I like here on Himmel's, what are we on? Himmel's Erlenbergdorf. And we're going to talk about what I do there and why I do it. It's an all-tier 8 battle, which is nice. There's no artillery, so some of the X factor is gone. I don't have any higher tier guys, and I don't have any artillery bombing me. I also don't have any lower tiers to bully, so it's fairly even in terms of matchmaker. You can take a look at the two sides and decide which one has a better side or doesn't. I'm not going to dive into that too much, although it is important to look at it and go, well, what do we got? Well, we got a couple light tanks, couple TDs, so not a lot of really big gun TDs. A good selection of mediums, and then a bunch of heavies. I'm sorry, I said it was all tier 8. It's actually tier 8 and 9. I missed that. There's a whole 3 9s, none of them which are that bad. So there's a little X factor then in terms of tier 9. I was running this tank with a fairly basic setup. I had a fire extinguisher, and I did not have the IA. I had the IRM, the rotation thing. I got tired of .39, which I think was the dispersion, before I put food on, and I put the Bounty IA, and I got it down to .35, and that has made this gun much, much more comfortable. So a little bit of a try hard. Fires are a problem. I don't really have any firefighting at all on this tank, so I tend to burn down. I actually did get lit on fire a couple games back and burned for a while. So, all right, Frank, so we're going to talk about then, for the new to intermediate player, how do we stay alive? What are some of the things we're looking for? What does it look like on the minimap? What does a match that's developing that way look like? And what can I do about it? All right, off we go. I'm running 10 heat rounds, and I've got the rest of it either, I think I've got 4 or 6 HE rounds. That will become important a little while later. We'll talk about that when we get there. So from the south spawn on this, I like to go, get a little caught up with the Black Dog, didn't mean to do that. I like to go into the middle on this side, on the east side of the river. This map used to have a pretty good spot on the west side of the river, but the problem is that the castle has a lot of crossfire on it now, and it's not a very tenable position. You won't see many people go there and try to shoot through those windows, although it will happen once in a while. If you see a good push up to the castle, which I'm talking about over here, which we do not have, then you can potentially go to the west side of the river and look through this window, but we don't have that. So right away, take a look at the deployment, and this is what I'm noting. So as part of staying alive, you got to pay attention to the minimap and try to project what that means to you in the future, the near future, or at least initially right now, and then into the near future, and maybe even to the far future at the end of the match. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at least. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think, no, there's another one. 8. There's 8 or 9. I don't know. 8 or 9 guys all over on the east side. Okay, so we got an overmatch on the east side. What do I know about that when I'm analyzing? Well, I know that the east side rarely is decisive quickly. I don't really expect them to overrun that flank and push into the enemy backfield. It could happen, but it generally doesn't because they're not organized. It's a pub match. There's probably going to be snipers back here punishing them if they come up and over. So it's going to be a lot of peeky pokey over here trying to knock down the scouts and the mediums and whatnot and avoid getting hit by the TDs back in the back. Good news for us, as I said earlier, though, there's not a lot of TDs on the enemy team, although some people will turn their heavy or medium into a TD. And so I don't expect a whole lot of help from there quickly, but I do expect them to win that side. Break. West side. I don't expect anything good to happen over there at all. So we've got the low kind of moving through the middle. We've got another Lurva up ahead of me with a Basante. We're really light in the city, and we're super light on the west side. So those have all gone in my brain. I'm not going to change anything I'm doing right now because I think I can get into this forward position. It's hold down, and we can start working on these guys. So the low backs up. Now this WZ comes into a position that is a little more viable these days. This map has changed a little bit in this general area, so I was a little bit surprised to see him there, but he's tier 9 with a pretty good turret and a decent hard-hitting gun on the WZ, so I'm not that surprised. A little bit surprised, but not that surprised. So I'm going to cut left, and I want to get into this position right here. So part of staying alive is getting yourself into good positions, and if you are going to be forward, making sure that your approach is such that you don't take too many hits. I knew that position was there, and I was actually out in the open a little bit more than I wanted to be. I should have been on the side of this, but I had to go around the Lurva based on how he parked, so I got away with one right there. And it's okay to get away with stuff, because on occasion we do. The question is, what do you do with it? So the Bulldog, I don't know what his plan is, but he gets thumped. There's that kind of comfortable gun. I wish I wasn't firing heat into the side of a Bulldog, but I was expecting to fight heavies right in here. Nobody comes around this corner, so let's just take a quick pause now. We're only about, what, a minute and 15 seconds into this game. The east side is engaged. The west side is what I expected it to be. They're going to own the castle, at least for the near future. And we got a super Pershing sitting in the back. Who knows? I guess his school of thought on staying alive is hide in the back and then I will stay alive, which will work for a while. It will work for a while. Fairly even in terms of trading and what's going on. So initial positioning helps you stay alive, going to a good spot that is defensible or that you can push out of to support. It's got some crossfire, at least locally within the town right here. And we'll see how we can go from here. He makes a run. I see his... This is something to talk about when you see their markers start to move and you know it's going to cross into an open lane of fire. Pre-aim in there and wait for them to come across and you'll get a better shot out of it. So that's just recognizing the local tactical situation and environment as far as getting damage and how do I stay alive. One of the ways you stay alive is by reducing the other team's hit points without exposing yourself. Now that was a pretty easy one, but it suffices to show the idea of it. There was probably no way that guy was going to get a shot on me. I'm in a decently defensible spot. I wasn't too worried about somebody coming around this corner based on this rubble pile because I was zoomed in, right? I'm looking through the soda straw and I'm just waiting for my easy hit points to come by. The Bulldog felt like he needed to bail out of that position and was willing to risk taking another hit in order to get away from the situation that it was there. But to be honest, I don't know why he thought it was that bad. It was just the Lurva over there and his whole team owned the other side, but he had somewhere to be, people to see, and I was able to steal some of his hit points as he went by. Okay, the east side is engaged. The west side is looking bad, like I sort of expected it to be. The Leopard PTA is paying attention to what's going on over there, and he's got eyes on. That's not a bad move. So what do I know about the map so far? We seem to be doing okay on the east, as I said. The west, I'm not too afraid of it falling immediately. But if they push that Leopard PTA, then he's in big trouble. And now they're going to kind of come around and have shots on our side and everything else. So I've got to watch the minimap. The point of that is, in order to stay alive further into the match. You've got to watch it enough to, and then start assessing what you expect to happen. My expectation right now is that the west will fall and I'll have to fall back. But right now I have enough tanks in the middle that we can hold it for the moment. I'm also noting that the enemy team doesn't seem too interested in pushing the middle. And they're nose counting. You know, if I was on the other team and I saw this going on and I was in control of it, you know, say I was the tactician that told them what to do, I would have a hard push on the west side to get rid of whatever might be there and then flow over into the city, help my overmatch in the city, take out our city guys, and then it's over. They can start working on shots over on the east. But because it's a pub match and it's not that organized, you have some time to sort of work on it. Now I come around this corner and he's not really looking. So I'm just going to take a stab at shooting him, and that bounces. Why is he not looking? Well, because I'm paying attention to who's fighting who near me. That's another thing that you're going to want to do in terms of staying alive longer, is I know that there's a Lurva and a Basante, and he's in this little nook. And there's a Lurva side scraping back here. These guys are really busy playing peekaboo, peeky punchy face with these two, which is going to let me be a little bit unpredictable and move from taking a look at this area, all right, so this rubble pile, and looking through here, then coming back here and maybe sneaking a shot on those guys while they're busy playing with these two. Trading. That's the next thing then we want to talk a little bit about as far as staying alive. Try to make good trades. So I get reloaded there. Watch shots go in and out because you'd like to time your shot, and then I get caught out. I was messing around. I was spotted. This guy probably saw me turn around because I was spotted. Now I'm kind of playing peekaboo at these two dudes, and he takes his opportunity to come around and get a free shot. So I eat a shot from him. Well played on his part. Why is he able to do that? Because, and you can, when you're looking at a situation like this and analyzing, how do I stay alive? You can pay attention to what the other team's doing, because if they make a good move, they're teaching you something as well. The 703, 122 can come into that opening because there is nobody in the castle bothering him. It's very dangerous to make this move when the enemy owns the castle, but his team owns the castle, so now he's starting to do this wrap around, giving us more angles to have to fight, and that's where this position starts to become untenable and dangerous. So what's in my mind right now is, okay, I'm not really sure if he's going to keep doing that, or if maybe the Tiger 2 is going to come around, or maybe the E50 flows down, but right now I'm not liking this much. We're going to have to keep an eye on that, and if I start to get pressed, because it's just me, we just lost our Lurva behind me, it's the Lurva over in the other side who is isolated. So the enemy team is now starting to think about, how do we get rid of this Lurva? So we'll keep looking, holding what we've got right now. The push is kind of getting beat up over on the east side, not doing well. This guy comes out, makes a big mistake. I'm able to pull back, make him miss, and I punish him with 2 shots. Actually, he didn't miss, he hit me. But I was able to protect my lower hole decently, and he bounced, all right? So if he had any lower hole that he could see, he missed it. 2 shots on him. To some extent lucky based on his return shot, but I'm able, because of the double barrel, to get 2. So I've made good trades so far. I've made 1,590 damage for only 1 hit of 400 odd or so. Yeah, 400 even right there. We'll keep the hold down. Your position matters. And I'm starting to watch the minimap going, well, we're losing, folks. We lost our 103, Lurva, and Udez, the LT. The West beating that dead horse is not looking good. Although, look at the Leopard, PTA. He's still holding on over there. He's still holding on for the moment. The Super, to some extent, is actually serving a purpose. He's taking long-range shots into the castle and helping to keep those guys honest. I'd rather him be somewhere more useful, but there you go. He is providing a use at the moment, and I am noting that. I realize that over on the west side, to a large extent, we're okay. If not looking good, we're okay. But if that Leopard and, say, the Super die in the low, then I've got to change what's going on. Or if I lose too many guys in the city, and I'm just looking at the stack of purple in the city, and I'm thinking this isn't looking great. WZ-120 is sort of moving. He's trying to shoot at light tanks more than likely. We just lost another tank. We lost our ISU, and it's looking really bad. It's a 1-5 right now. See the E50 moving. The Bulldog goes in, gets killed by the Leopard. So if they didn't know he was there, they do now. This guy makes a huge mistake. I've talked about this a couple times in the past. In terms of new to intermediate players and trying to stay alive, that is one of those tactical things in the local environment. When you spin around, be cognizant of where the rear of your tank is here, and if it's going to poke out from behind cover and allow people shots. He spun around, the back of his tank just poked out enough that I was able to get a shot right there. I can't tell you how many times I have been either the benefactor of that or done that to myself by turning and putting a part of my tank out from behind the cover I'm in. It's been a while since I've messed with the guys back behind me here, and I'm not seeing a whole bunch of effort on their guys to push, and now I see their Lurvas pushing up right there, and it looked like maybe the 703 potentially, but I don't know where he is. That's the guy I was most worried about, and then I see he's over there. Okay, all right. So now take a look. What do we got going on? Well, we've got the WZ and the Conqueror behind me, the Tiger 2 and the Carnarvon. Haven't seen them for a while, and the other two guys have gone around to beat up the low. So I know this Lurv is in trouble. He's down 164, and that once he loses that spot, I can't stay here anymore. There's too many crossfire opportunities through these rubble pieces over here, so that's something you've got to start thinking about, and this was a great point in this game to illustrate that as we look at the mini-map. The fact that the Leopard's on the run or being pressed, we're going to lose our Lurva, so largely the west side of the map is no longer of any use to us, so I have to pay attention to where they can shoot me from once they take advantage of that, and this position becomes no longer a place I really want to be. Now I know I have some time because that Lurva hasn't quite died yet, so I'm just going to take that little opportunity to sneak around here, and maybe I can surprise these guys. He's not even looking, and I just sneak one into his upper plate with the old heat there, and we take some hit points out, and now I'm out of here. Right, I'm going to back out. I can no longer sit in that position. I've been paying attention to the mini-map, and I know that's not a great idea. We're starting to even it up a little bit, so to some extent, a little bit of a comeback. So we're at 4-6, still losing. We still have a decent amount of the map, although we're starting to have less than the purple guys do. But look at what happened in the east. We're actually in pretty good shape there. The Leopard has already done what I'm starting to do. He's fallen back. But he still has all kinds of shots if they move into that open area. The Super is still sitting where he's sitting. You can see the CS has moved out of where he was. There's still kind of a scrap going on. And now I'm starting to get a little concerned about the east side as well. But I'm going to back up a bit here and see if we can't sneak some shots. Carnarvon comes in. All right, he went to a hold. I was going to come around that corner and maybe try to shoot somebody doing what he did. But he's already in that spot. Let's zoom out here. He's already in that hold down spot, and I don't really want to come around here. That exposes all my hull to his fairly high pen, especially if he's shooting, I think it's APCR, and I'm just going to be shooting turret, and that's just not really something I want to be doing. So we'll back on out this way. I do get lit. That's unfortunate. I would have loved to have done this without being lit. Now we're going to start talking about another thing you can do in terms of staying alive is sometimes you have to trade hit points for position. So what I want to do here is trade some hit points to get out of here. I know I'm probably going to get hit by the Conqueror, maybe the WZ. I get a bit lucky here because it goes better than it should have. The WZ bounces because of the weird angle. Conqueror gets a shot on me. I just shoot him on the way. He's going to get one on me. Okay, so there you go. I try to shoot into that hatch real quick, and then I need to get out of here. Conquerors reload pretty quickly. Good news for us, the Carnarvon drowned. I don't know. He went into the water. That was a huge help for us. Drowned himself. You got to take advantage of the luck that happens to you. And now I'm out of here, right? We've lost the city. I pulled back wisely and in time. If I was still sitting there, I'd be in huge trouble. I was more than likely not going to get out of there if I was still sitting there, so I'm going to back up. I've got a CS-52 LAS. I've got a Leopard. The Super is still sitting back there. And so we need to contract our lines a bit right here. Consolidate our strength together. I actually only have one heat shield, so I've got to switch out. And I'm just going to keep on backing out of this. Keep the turret forward, pay attention. I'm kind of looking around. A little bit worried that I might get shot from the side, so I kind of looked over there. Is anybody over here? We'll back. No artillery, so the position I'm going to take is actually not a bad position. With artillery, it's not a great one because they can splash the hell out of you right here. Look at that, Super. The Super got the Conqueror. That was a good kill, getting rid of that. Now we've got a full hit point 703 who takes a hit. Now he's trying to cross the water. I think he's going to take another hit doing so right here. And I'm going to surprise this guy who shows up, and I'm able to sneak a shot into the WZ-120 and get rid of him. Now flip the script, look at the enemy team, and go, wow. And just like that, 2 low hit point guys kept pushing and got killed unwisely. That is something from the other side, the other team's standpoint, you need to think about. Get down to low hit points. If you want to stay alive, get further into the game. Be very careful about how you push. They knew I was backing down that way. They saw me back down that way. My assumption in that case would be that this 703 that Guido's driving is waiting on one of these corners. So I'm going to try not to peek around it. The 703-2 gets spotted and then sells out by going through the water, which is extremely slow. He's got multiple guys with shots on him, and he gets out of that with half his hit points. Then the E50 shows up. I don't know what this guy's doing. I note that he's up there. Looks like the LIS is kind of moving in there to start working on him. If you count noses, we kind of know where everybody is. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 6 lit. One's dead, so now we've got 4 of the 6 lit. We'll wait here for a minute. My concern is the 703-122. We have similar hit points, but the gun's a bit derpy. I only have the AP or APCR. That's the standard round, so I'm a little bit worried. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to change my approach. One more thing about staying alive is how you approach. I didn't have to drive right down that road where I would expect him to be doing what I did, which is sitting on a corner waiting for me to come in there and get a free shot. So I'm going to come up and over. I know this is here. I can come up and over. Artillery's not a factor. I'm not worried about their hill because they're pressing that CS-52. And I'm even thinking I might be able to get a shot on it. And then I'm going to take a bit of a chance here because I see the E50. And as I was backing out, I see the 703 has moved further down this way into this other courtyard. There's no way he's going to have a shot on me. So I started backing up going, man, am I going to get a shot on the E50? Then the 703 showed up, and then this is good. And this was a mistake. I do have intuition on this crew, which means with the double barrel, all I had to do was dab 3, and I would have got an HE round pretty quickly, 5 or 6 seconds or so. It doesn't help with the second round at all, and I do lose one because I had 2 loaded. But this is just blapping 2 APCR with almost no chance, probably actually no chance of pin. We hit him a couple times, and I hit 3 to go to HE. So what I should have done is just use my intuition. I would have taken a few HE hit points off that guy. And now we're on a counterattack. All of a sudden, with me, the Leopard, and the C-52 LIS kind of moving back, right, not allowing ourselves to get overrun, we've turned this game around, and it is now a 12-7 round game. 12-7 game right here. CS-52 is getting pushed. Turns out the RHM is way in the corner up at about A3 or A2, something like that. We find the 703 version 2. I'm going to come to this point. I'm going to hope that I can get a sneaky shot. I was a little bit surprised when he comes around this corner. He's actually looking at me. I try to shoot into the top of the hole. Doesn't work. Top of the turret doesn't work. Here's where you've got to be careful about how you turn your rear end. See how and I maybe even stuck it out a little bit more than I wanted to right there. But what I was trying to do with that maneuver was not stick the rear end as I turned around. And this is the swarm. You just bring in more tanks with more hit points and more guns. I believe the Scorpion's going to put a big hit on him right here. There we go. Brings him down to fairly low hit points. I'm just going to accept that I might get shot. We'll just come in here and take him down. He either took both shots at the Scorpion or wasn't quite ready. And that's it. All of a sudden we're 14-7. So a game that looked like positioning was bad. Assessment was, well, we're probably going to lose the West. The East is okay, but I don't expect that to be decisive quickly. It's going to take some time. As a matter of fact, it wasn't, was it? I mean, there was sniper shots happening from there, but they never really won that flank. They all just kind of sat up there and feasted off of spots. For people who were in bad positions like us in the middle, of course, they didn't have any shots all the way across the map, although you can almost, I mean, you can really see far on this map for the most part. Fell back when I saw the situation. I need to stay alive, need to keep the gun in the game, maybe even have to trade some hit points to get out of a bad situation, but paying attention to the mini-map and trying to assess what's going on. So there you go. Frank, I hope that helped for the new to intermediate players. Initial positioning, paying attention to how what you think is probably going to happen and assess it continually as it happens, and then don't let yourself get trapped. Go to good positions, but do your best and not let yourself get trapped. And sometimes you just got to get out there, get out of there. If that means sacrificing somebody who's overextended, sometimes you got to do that. I would not lean forward to that as my going in default game plan, but I've been left, and I get it. You know, I'm overextended, or the enemy's made a good push, and there's no way for me to get out. I'd rather not have 3 tanks or even 1 tank really die trying to save me when it's more or less hopeless. Fall back, get to a good position, attrit some of the low hit point guys, and then you can start working the counterattack. That's all I've got for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We will see ya.